If you didn't already know, I have a 1998 Lexus GS 400, also known as the second gen GS that I've been building up over the years. So if you're new to the channel, thanks for coming. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I also should mention that I have some merch. So I'm gonna link all of this down in the video description. I have GS merch for you. I've got posters, I've got mouse pads. I have got all the cool stuff that will be the envy of all your coworkers, friends, and family. Now, today's mod, you're gonna love this because, well, it's practically free. For many of you, it's going to be free because you'll have some of these supplies already in your arsenal. Everything you're gonna need, parts, tools, and boy, the list is quite small. It improves safety. Some might argue that it improves the looks of the car a little bit, depending on the conditions. For us, United States domestic market vehicle guys, we have side markers right here. And these side markers, the only thing they really do is light up when you turn your lights on. That's it. They don't serve any other purpose. They don't really do any other thing. Now I have some aftermarket clear lenses here, you can see. The clear lenses look a lot better in my opinion with the GS. You don't have to have those. You can have the originals that are here in place, and you can do this mod for those lenses as well. They're like 15 bucks on Amazon. So if you want to pick up some of those, you can do that. That is not the mod I'm talking about today. The mod I'm talking about today is to make these blink with your directional blinkers in the front. This is kind of an old school mod actually. I discovered this because I was quite interested in going with the side marker light that's I think on the Aristos and even some other GSs that are around the world. So I could have installed that here, but it wouldn't look super clean with the marker here and the marker here. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, I put a question out there on Instagram and Facebook. What do you guys think? What do you guys think if I put a side marker in? I was gonna do one up here, and then some people are like, no, do it where the Aristo one goes. The feedback was kind of all over the place, so I decided to leave the car as is. But my main objective was to get this to blink. And the reason I want that to blink on each side is when you come to a T, or you come to a four-way stop, or you're trying to get out into the road, and you're in the United States, for example, people cannot tell if you're perpendicular to them like this, which way you're going. If you're gonna cross traffic, they can stop for you, they can see your light blinking. If you don't have this mod, they're not gonna know which way you're going. They're not gonna know if you're going out into traffic with them or if you're crossing traffic. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna make this blink. This mod is so easy that you're gonna shake your head and say, first of all, why didn't they do it in the United States? Second, why haven't I done this mod before? This is a long car. There's a lot of blind spot here along the side, as you can see. So if you're driving on the freeway, for example, and you wanna come over into another lane, they don't know that you're coming over. The only person that knows is you, that you're coming over, and if someone's there. There could be a bad situation that's gonna happen. They see that blinking and then they honk or slam on their brakes or go faster and get out of your way as you come over. There is just no reason not to do this mod. Now there's a couple caveats here. If you have LED bulbs, it's not gonna work for you. You're gonna need to get 194 bulbs if you don't already have them in the standard, I think they just call them halogen, bulbs like this. And these are 194s. The cheapest I found was a 10 pack on Amazon for like $6. So I'll link that in the video description as well. Now you can go to your local automotive store and pick these up like in a 2-pack for the same price, but for the price of a 10 pack, you can get 10. Now, if you have the clear side markers like me, you're probably gonna wanna go orange. You don't have to go orange. You can stay with clear if you want to as far as the bulb goes, but I think orange is cool because the orange looks more like a blinker. Let me show you the tools and the supplies you're gonna need. It'll look like more than you might think, like, well, that's a lot more than I expected, but it's really not that bad. This is a soldering iron, it's a pretty fancy one. You don't need one that fancy, but I do recommend that you solder all your connections. You can use those butt connectors or whatever you call them. I prefer soldering. This is a digital multimeter, and I'm just gonna use it in this episode to show you the different wires. There's only 4 total that we care about on the car, and this will just help us identify which wires we're going after. Here's some heat shrink tubing. You can pick this up at Harbor Freight for really cheap. I like to put all my soldered connections in heat shrink whenever I can. This is some of that convoluted tubing. This also you can get at Harbor Freight, a whole spool of it for $3. So it's just nice to protect the wire and make it look a little cleaner. These are the 194 bulbs I already mentioned. These are amber in color. This is just a spare piece of wire. You're gonna need about 3 feet of wire. I might switch the color out actually. I have some blue. Some wire snips to cut some wire. 10 mil with an extension or something to get your fender liner off a bit. This is a razor blade for stripping one of the connections, as you'll see. And then there's a Phillips head bit. Let's get started and let's get this thing all figured out. Once you get all that off, you can fold this thing kind of up like that. Go around more than you think, and then it comes out like that. What we're gonna do now is go through the test procedure to determine which is the ground and which is the hot wire. What you wanna do is actually take out the bulb, and then you're gonna get a digital multimeter. And I'm gonna tell you the answer, but I just wanna show you the procedure in case some of you guys are doing this on other vehicles, not on the 2nd Gen GS, for example, because I think you can do this on pretty much any car. Turn on my parking lights. All right, they're on. I have the ground wire grounded on the frame of the car. I'm going to probe 12 volts on that top one, and on the bottom one, nothing. The top one on my car is green. The ground or PE, protected earth, wire is white. There's a black stripe on it. So green is hot, right there, 12 volts. All we're doing is cutting the ground wire here and direct connecting it to the directional blinker light, which is right here. It's like 6-7 volts that hits it to make it blink. We are actually gonna splice it into this, I'm gonna call it the hot wire. We splice the ground from the side marker into the hot wire of the directional blinker. So that's plenty right there. You're gonna take your snips, yeah, let's go about right there. Cutting the ground, and then we need to expose this wiring here because this here, we're not gonna use it anymore. All right, we're gonna fish the new wire through the fender so it comes down in here, and then we're gonna solder it to that connection right there. You guys ever seen this trick? So you get your wire on this small little wrench like this, you just run it down the slit. Grab your wire and convoluted tubing. You want to get both of them. You can see the wire right there. And there it is. I'll just get it out of the way. Bring your heat shrink down. I know, old school. It's a match. You need to get one of those little torch things. The blinker light is right here. This side can be a little tricky because the ECU is in the way here. You're gonna bring it up here like this. I don't like to touch these. You're gonna take that out and then prop it up in a spot where you can use your digital multimeter like that. And we're gonna figure out which wire we need to splice into. Now, you can see that there is a white on black right there, and that's most likely our ground. I wanna walk you guys through this process in case you're doing it on another vehicle and the colors are different. So turn your ignition to on. So the blinker's on, I've got it grounded right up here to this ground. So see how it's hitting 6.6 or so? Or 6.3, whatever, 6 point something. Now I'll go to the other side here, and there should be nothing. So we know we want to splice into the green. This little cover is also kind of a tool to help you grasp and get this engaged into the socket. What you want to do is pull that away from the connector, expose the green. Now there's not much room on this side to work with. You're gonna have to get a little bit creative, and what you're gonna do is use a razor blade and expose that wire. Wire is exposed. And the idea now is to make sure that you run this wire where you want it to go before you solder it. Otherwise, it's going to end up wrapping around a bunch of weird stuff in there. I need to expose the end. I might need to cut this down a little bit. Take this down to where it plugs into the socket down here, and just make sure that your wire that you have run is long enough before you cut it. Off camera, I put the wiring back inside this thing, and then I used some small zip ties to re-secure it and also to hold this new wire up against it as it runs up into the fender well. I got the new Amber 194 bulb installed. I do need to make the connection for this blue/purple wire in order to test the bulb. You don't want to button everything back up until you test your bulb. I suggest feeding that wire through that backing, or else it's going to look kind of weird on the outside of it. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and put the bulb back in this, and then we're going to test out the side marker light. Parking light's on. Okay. Left blinker. Okay. And parking light on. Left blinker. So there's your blinker. Now what you'll notice is they both go the same. When you turn the parking lights on, they'll alternate. Isn't that crazy? Off camera, I tidied up the wiring a little bit. So it runs here, it's connected to all this other stuff. But on this side, you'll have to remove your air box and everything because your setup might be different than mine because I have the supercharger and cold air intake. There you have it on that side. And now watch them alternate when I turn on the parking lights again. Parking lights on, alternating, and then blinker off. I'll show you the other side too. Blinker, parking lights on, parking lights off, and let's go ahead and hit the hazards. Pretty awesome mod, guys. I'm very impressed with this.